watches something new grabs me. And this time it was the discussion of the quote-unquote failed attempts to civilize the Native Americans, and the quote that they've resisted every opportunity given to them to be like us. And I had to be rude in the middle of text Stephanie because I had chills. She'll tell you I have a bad habit of reading the comments posted in the day, and anytime there's an article about problems, especially in New London or especially in the Thames River apartments, there are streams and streams and streams of comments about those people and how those people live, and you can't give those people anything. They're going. It was just the same theme was in 3 comments in an article this morning that 100 years ago somebody wrote about the Native Americans resisting every opportunity given to them. And it's obviously still so woven into how the white majority think.
You're right, you're wrong. Right, we know what's right.
We're white, you're wrong.
Anybody else would like to share?
I just want to say one more thing. And it's the light of it, the light coming to the situation it's timely and it's a beautiful thing. I don't believe whomever began this didn't think it would reach this far, where their own are being affected. It's affecting their own now, because they get to see who we are of color for who we really are. They live with us now. They eat with us now. They actually see that, yes, they have children with us now. I don't think they ever thought about that. So now, it does alarm you. That's why you get those chills. That's why you get sick in your stomach, because you're saying, well, wait, I have friends. I have an Indian friend. I have an Asian friend. I have a Hispanic friend. I have a friend that lives in the islands, and they don't behave nice at all. The whole community is not like that. But back then, I don't think they ever thought, I believe that they thought they would have this perfect race, and it would always stay this way, not knowing that over time, eventually you have to see who I am. You have to see my truth. You have to get to know me for me, and I cannot be judged on anything else other than my character. And that's what Martin Luther King stood for. That's what Rosa Parks stood for. That's what all of our people of any race, not just here, but I don't talk about what I know. But the foundational people of any race other than white have had those people who stood true on who they were. And as we continue to live, you have to see that.
The majority from their burden, their white men burden. I mean, when I heard that, I'm like, okay, so I want to be a peaceful being. I want to be a giving, compassionate, wonderful person, right? So how can I be part of the process of freeing? Isn't that what we should be doing? Freeing the white men from their burden?
Tell the truth.
It was like interesting that that's how they termed it way back when. And we still sometimes see some of that attitude happening. And I want to say, I want to be clear that I really, truly don't believe that for the most part, it's a conscious effort. I don't think that is an intention.
It's learned. It's
been so
ingrained.
Right.
I mean, it's just the fact you can be in the grocery store and someone can just walk right in front of you and pull something out of and absolutely have no regard for you at all. And it's because I've always done that. That's who I am, and I can continue to do that. That's the way that everything that happens in their life happens, and it's been taught from great grandfather. I mean, unless someone breaks free of it, has a different experience, and allows themselves to have a different experience, it just continues.
It's so part of the fabric, it's such part of the culture. So when we see some of those things, it's important to remember. And yes, they are, because it's in all groups, it's in mankind, it's in humanity. There's greed, there is wanting to control power, all of this. But I think it's important to remember that it's an unconscious process.
Most of them, not all.
That's what I'm saying. For the most part, it's an unconscious process. Because they are members of quote-unquote our groups, or our race, if we want to term it that way, and we know race does not exist, that want the same thing, and do enable even some of that process to have the members of the Latino community, members of the African. It exists in all groups, but for the most part, we have to remember that it is an unconscious effort because there are messages that we have been hearing over.
It's worldwide. Human beings we're all alike. We have the same anger, laughter, all those traits that we have. We go in and out of those worlds no matter what. You could be the nicest person and have a tragic thing in your family or what into you, and you would be reacting negatively to a situation that you normally wouldn't if it didn't happen, you know, something bad that happened. So all of us as human beings are born with all these different worlds within us, and we come in and out of them constantly. From one moment to the next, we can be happy as one moment, and somebody pushes into you, and you right away you're negative. That's it. That's living.
Right.
And we gotta know how to bring out. I tell people, breathe deeply to calm yourself. You know,
As a society, we're not talking about the individual level. You're right, each as a society, collectively, how is it that we're behaving? I may say individually, absolutely no, I'm not sharing any of this. I'm about humanity in general, whatever philosophy we prescribe to, nonviolence, whatever. But as a society, when we look at the United States, or even let's not even go as far, behaving, how are we treating our youth in general? How are we treating our senior citizens? How are we treating our poor? How are we treating our homeless people? How are we treating? So those are the questions that we have to ask ourselves as a community. But then we all come together.
Seeing this. I know I watched it once at home, and I don't know how many times I've done it in group setting. And it still angers me like it did the very first time I saw it. And so it takes, like it's, I don't know, 1-something in the afternoon. It will still take a lot of time today, even though I've seen it before, for me to process this and say, okay, now you did this leadership thing, you did this leadership thing, and last week you were in these two groups and you were able to put together these well-formed questions that kind of make people uncomfortable, but right now, I'm just like, oh my God, like I don't know how to get from to the point where I am in a room and can ask those questions. And you know what I mean? I have, right now, I still feel very raw, like someone just peeled the scab off all over again. Mm-hmm. And so, I do.
And can I ask why?
I don't know. It just, I don't know. It just seeing this. I know I watched it once at home, and I don't know how many times I've done it in group setting. And it still angers me like it did the very first time I saw it. And so it takes, like it's, I don't know, 1-something in the afternoon. It will still take a lot of time today, even though I've seen it before, for me to process this and say, okay, now you did this leadership thing, you did this leadership thing, and last week you were in these two groups and you were able to put together these well-formed questions that kind of make people uncomfortable,
but right now, I'm just like, oh my God, like I can't, I don't know how to get from to the point where I am in a room and can ask those questions. And you know what I mean? I have, right now, I still feel very raw, like someone just peeled the scab off all over again. And so, I do.
And can I ask why?
I don't know. It just, I don't know. I get emails about it, and when I see it, and just maybe it's just being in such a concentrated form and not just hearing about a little piece here or a little piece here, but just seeing how it played out and is still playing out today. I don't know. It just still makes the hairs in the back of my neck stand up. It's still, I have a knot in my stomach right now. I feel like I can't shake it, but I know I always do. And I get to the point where I'm like, okay, so now I need to take that and kind of redirect it and focus and try to say, okay, I have this bit of knowledge, and now I have to use this to tell someone else who's unaware, and they might not want to hear it, so I'm going to tell you again, and then I'm going to tell you as many times as I can, so you get annoyed, but then you're going to start talking about why I annoyed you, so someone else is having a conversation, so that's great, and so I've, channeled it, but right now I just feel very,
to better the world. That is your life's work. That's what you're doing every day. And to see the hurdles that are up there, it's just enormous. So yes, feel it, go through it. Accept that that's part of the battle. I sit there, I've been a scientist my whole life. That's what I do, I'm a scientist. I ask the difficult questions. And I look for the end before I ask the question. And that's what you always do as a scientist. You say, what are we looking for? Okay, how do I ask the question to get to the end? There is no understanding here. My feeling is these people spent their lives wasting their time. They could have been working on diseases, or they could have been studying the stars, or they could have been figuring out how to feed their people better.
But that was the science of the time.
Of course it was, and that still happens. People are still asking hard questions. They're still looking for the
But
right answers.
unfortunately, a lot of the science that
We
people
have to learn how to work together. Get a science on that.
Yeah.
Get a science on healing. Get a science on how we can make our community better. Get a science on
Well,
that.
all that information,
Get a politics on
there's
that.
endless. I can tell you right now.
I understand what you're saying, but it's not being fed to everyone.
It's not science.
We're going like this. I'll give it to you. Duck, 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 goose. Duck, 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 goose. So you guys are trying to run around and feed everybody that information that should just be readily available, like the media, like the internet. It should be readily available. They're not going to give it.
Part of doing that is exactly what we're doing here, because
Right.
you have to do it on an individual level, and then after an individual level, and hopefully a community level, and then, I understand what you're saying, and you're right, but it has to start within each of one of us, and then it becomes a community thing, because it's not gonna happen if we expect the people outside of us to do it. We all have to take part in that piece that makes it a different world, and it's slow, and it's long, and it's hurtful, and it's painful, and it's personal, and it's all of those things, but you can't wait for so-and-so to do it, or Obama to do it, or, because there has to be a movement. There's no movements anymore, it has to become a movement of people that, yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. The foundational part of it is to affect the children. If you can affect the children now, everything else will take place, because their mind automatically from kindergarten is changed. So my focus is on,
So this is
As a system question, so what happens is, because, okay, Stephanie and I do a lot of this work together, okay, and we've been doing, and I've been doing this work together with other people for decades now. And one of the things that I have learned is that this, number one, this is a system issue, okay? And you start all the way from our president, all the way down, because we also don't hear Mr. Obama talking about race relations, and racial issues in the United States of America, okay? That's fine. You don't hear Congress, you don't hear the schools, you don't hear our local politicians, okay? So it's a system issue that needs to be changed. You're right, it's policy of the politicians, we the people. But if the people is not educated or empowered, and I don't mean educated in the sense of knowing how to read or write, I'm talking about educated about these issues and empowered with the tools and the information to go out and begin to influence the politicians. So you're right, the children need to have an impact on our children, our youth. But we also need to have an impact on those individuals that directly have an influence in the outcome of those children. Which hopefully we bring teachers in here. Hopefully we bring members of the school system that makes decisions. Hopefully we bring people from healthcare through here to make different decisions. Hopefully we'll have people from different business sectors that may begin to make different choices and different decisions. Hopefully. So the work has to begin. This is what's called grassroots work. This is exactly when you begin to have an impact and bring healing and compassion and care to a community and its members, and to educating and build a cohesiveness among all its members in order to be empowered collectively to go out and bring about change, bring about healthy communities, bring about health in their community.
I understand what you're saying. I just know I'm a student now about those are the topics. If you want to get to me, teach me. If you want to get to a person, teach me. You don't have to teach me the true principles. That's what I'm saying. In the educational system, we are not teaching the true principles. We're teaching craft. School district, if somebody brings something to a school district and says, I would like to do a forum on patience. We used to have forums when I was growing up. We'd have assemblies all the time. There's nothing. Absolutely nothing. Where are those people at? Their passion is there, and I understand that. We don't have to hit them hard with the racism, but just the true principles. Find one and put it in school.
Then there's a system that won't allow you to get rid of crummy teachers because
And they
the
have to
teacher-
go, though.
But the system is set up
They have
that
no
they
choice.
sit in rooms and make a lot of money, but,
Yeah.
and so there's that, I mean, every system has its own set of rules that we somehow have to get to.
Again, we'll be here in 2 weeks from now. Please, before you leave, sign in. And I just want to remind you that 2 weeks from today, we will have the final episode of Raise a Power Revolution. And it is about the house we live in. And we get more, that episode really gets to what you're talking about, which is systems, and how the systems have been set up to maintain status quo. So, but it's a learning that we can begin to understand how that came about and how we can begin to undo that, to make it different. Okay? So thank you, everyone, for being
Health district embarked on these kind of conversations, and how is it that these conversations can impact health outcomes? How do they promote health equity and work to eliminate health disparities?
I think that we're constantly talking now about looking at the root causes of health status and the social determinants of health, and how a person's economic status, their education, where they live, their environment has such a direct impact on their health outcomes. And we know that there are health disparities or inequities in health outcomes that are linked to existing inequities in those social determinants. Well, we need to take it one step further back and look at the root causes of the inequities in the root causes. So where does our history of racism and the construct of race and what we've all grown up learning about race, how does that impact and contribute to the inequities in the social determinants, which have such a direct bearing on health equity or lack thereof? Because until we change the conversation and change our understanding and change our understanding of our role in that system, and then change the systems,
Right.
that's how we're going to create health equity.
Cultural competence training for the GASP Coalition, and I was extremely new to Legislative Health District. That might have been actually the first meeting that I attended. And I got a chance to kind of see what your work is, what it's about, and I witnessed the reaction of one of the participants in the group and thought, oh my God, this can't be happening, because after this huge talk you gave, well, the 15 minutes you were left with, to talk about, the importance of appreciative cultures and things of that nature, you had someone come up and talk about how your people make great roofs and build great walls, and I was just floored, and I think that was my first introduction to you, and I was just like, I'm so sorry, clearly he missed the whole meeting even though he sat here. Kind of a kindred spirit, and we just kept being reconnected through other meetings, and you have been instrumental as far as mentoring and helping to open my eyes with the work that we're doing with health equity and reducing racial and health disparities and cultural appreciation. So I am ecstatic about what you're able to do here at Providence Center and how you've helped, facilitate our conversations and promote all the different things that you do for all the cultural appreciation. And
I do remember that meeting when we met, and I do remember the gentleman making the statements about all the, I suppose, what he considers stereotypic things that my people, Latino men do, which is, I suppose, hands-on labor, which is wonderful, but I don't know, it was in such a condescending way. But I felt that at that time he just needed to be treated with some compassion and just simply raise his awareness that my people are more than just roofers or gardeners, and that there is a pride associated with being those things. But I just been delighted to be working with you, because even though you talk about the growth that has come as a result of our relationship, for you, it has been likewise. We have grown together in this work that is very challenging but so rewarding. And I also think that the relationship with Ledgelight Health District has been a positive one, in the sense of I understand and I appreciate the connection of health, public health, and the ultimate well-being of a community, and that we cannot have true development or sustainable community development without a healthy population. So the work that we're doing together, Providence Center and Ledgelight Health District, is really important, and also raising awareness around the social determinants of health, and really all those things that people, for the most part, don't connect in the context of having an impact on our health and how important that is. So I think it's been a wonderful relationship for all of us all around. So I also want to thank you, Stephanie Clark, for all the wonderful work you do for our community. And I want that to be in your heart and in your mind,
that the times when we're out there, and sometimes we've been together and it's been rough, that we remember why we're doing this and why we're here. That is really to honor, love, and remember the health of our communities.